I know it feels like Bitcoin is behaving like a stable coin and people are getting bored in crypto, but don't fall into the trap of thinking that crypto is boring. Don't fall into that trap, because this is one of the biggest weeks that Bitcoin is going to have in a long, long, long time. You got to be very, very, very careful not to fall into the same trap that Tom Brady fell into, because he went into retirement and then now he went into retirement, he went full-time into crypto, and now he's basically gone back into unretirement. So now he's gone back to play again. So don't be like Tom Brady, because there's a lot happening under the hood. We have about $1.5 billion flowing into the market this week, coming from the Luna Foundation, from President Nayib Bukele. We have an options closeout on Friday with the point of max pain at about 42,000, which would put us about 10% higher than we are now. So yeah, about just under 10% higher than we are now. That could give us a rally. So that's something that we've got to keep our eye on. Right now, as we are live with you, we've got the European Union voting on what they call the markets in crypto assets draft legislation, which basically aims to ban not proof of work mining, but things like proof of work mining. We're going to talk about that. We've got Jerome Powell coming out on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we're going to get an interest rate decision. The market's discounting a 0.25% increase in interest rates. But what happens if he does more? We're going to talk about those scenarios today. We're going to look at some altcoins. We're going to look at why some altcoins are doing so well, like Luna, and why some altcoins are getting destroyed, like Phantom. So we're going to look at all those things. So it's going to be a big show. I know everyone else thinks this is a boring market, but it's not boring. You just need to know where to look. That is what we're going to be doing today. I know a lot of you complain that sometimes the intro takes too long because we play the song, but it gets us into the mood, especially on days like this where Bitcoin is acting so much like a stable coin. I mean, it's been acting like a stable coin the whole week. And in fact, if you were to get like critical of Bitcoin, if you wanted to be really critical of Bitcoin, you could kind of say that in the last, I don't know, year, Bitcoin hasn't moved much. So if you look at like Bitcoin in the last year, it hasn't really moved much. It was about 40,000 a year ago. It's at about 40,000 today. You see, some people do like the song. So yes, it does, you know, on days like this, where it looks like there's nothing happening, that's the motivation that we get to keep going. And let me tell you, there's a lot. If you look under the hood, it was worth keeping going because there's a lot happening this week. And you just have to uncover what's happening this week to know that it's always the quietest just before the storm. It's always the calmest just before the storm. And I think this week could actually bring us a storm. If the options closeout is anything to go by, then the storm is going to be a good storm. But we've got to prepare ourselves for everything because I don't know if you guys watched our banter on Friday, but people were quite bearish. I mean, those were big names, you know, Raoul Paul, Tash, Jordy. I don't know about you guys, but you know, the banter's unscripted. And I left here on Friday thinking, whoa, these guys are talking about serious recession. I left here heavy. Kyle's smiling here because he's been talking about this recession for how long now, Kyle?
Just a few days.
Kyle's firmly in the Il Capo camp. Alrighty, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to our channel, like this content. I did say on the weekend that every viewer that is here today is a viewer for life. Every subscriber is a subscriber for life. You know why? Because the class of entitled tourists, which was plaguing crypto, they all gone now. They all gone now. And basically, the people that are here are very serious about crypto, and these are the lifestyle people. So if you are one of them, thank you for staying here. Welcome. You will definitely get some of the rewards for being here. You'll definitely think. People are saying viewers decreasing, very sad. It's everybody. It's interest in crypto is decreasing. Impressions on Twitter are decreasing. Viewers on all channels. I mean, I looked at all the other channels as well, and viewers are decreasing. You know why? Because it's not cool. People are getting bored. People aren't interested. Even some people around here in the office don't really watch crypto content anymore. And that's because what they don't understand is that this is when the billionaires are made. How you position your portfolio now, what you buy now, what you're holding now, the alpha that you get now, that's the alpha that you're going to be riding on the way up. You see, the alpha that you collect here in this period, which is probably where we are, we're probably somewhere over here. The alpha that you collect here is what is going to take you up to the top. The alpha that you collect here is actually worthless. So you can take whatever alpha you want here, but it's worthless. And most people stop paying attention somewhere around here. They stop paying attention. I remember this from 2017, 2018. I remember this also from May last year. If you go look at our views, May last year, we used to get like 40,000 views per show. And then as the market got hotter and hotter and hotter, and as we went up, so here we were on like 40,000 views per show, and then we used to go higher, and here we were getting to like 150, 200,000 views per show. But that doesn't last very long, and those are all the people that got wrecked. That's what it is. So now is the most important time to be watching. So if you are here, smash the like button, because you guys are the ones who are going to make it. In fact, we are all going to make it. We're all going to make it. And that's what's keeping me going now, is that I know that anybody that's here, any subscriber that's here, any viewer that we pick up here, we're not entitled tourists. We are the ones that are going to make it, because the things that we buy now are cheaper. The projects that we invest now, the scammers are out of the market. So the project that you invest in a market like this, scammers can't raise money in this market. In fact, even the good projects are starting to raise money in this market. So if you are investing in things now, there's a much higher chance of success, because you know that if they can raise money and you are one of the last money that goes in, then at least you know that that project has managed to convince some real big investors. And to convince investors now in a market where everyone's skeptical, you know you're buying things cheap. Even on the market, you're buying things cheaper than everybody else, so you've got a higher chance of making it. So this is the time when we should be active. We're going to be here now. We're going to be doing more videos now. We're going to be doing more research now. We're going to be making more investments now. Why? Because this is the time to make investments. And I promise you that what we're going to do then is we're going to take the fruit of what we do now, and we're just going to ride it up all the way up to the top, while others are playing catch up. Yes, Chuck says this is the real time to DCA. Indeed, it is the real time to DCA. And remember that in this market, what you're going to get is you're going to get the FUD. You're going to get bad news, because bear markets are all about bad news. And it does feel like that now. It feels like when we switch on our portfolios, when we look on Twitter, it's all about bad news. It's about recessions. It's about interest rate hikes. It's about the Russia-Ukraine war. It's about TVL dropping. That is all a news cycle, and you can see that the market's pretty much absorbing it. And to be honest, I want to say that Bitcoin's actually doing pretty well. It's still above this trend line, even though we've thrown high inflation numbers, we've thrown a war at it, we've thrown the word recession at it, we've thrown everything. We've basically thrown everything at it. In fact, today we're throwing something else at it, and that is this bill, which is called the Markets in Crypto Assets, it's kind of like how Europe is going to seek to regulate Bitcoin. And there is a bill that is actually being voted on right now. There's no result in the bill yet, right? No result yet. It's being voted on right now. And this is what actually caused the Bitcoin price to have a slight downturn yesterday. So if you look at the day, let's look at the 1 hour, you can kind of see that at some point yesterday, here, that little red candle over there, that was caused by the market reminding us that we're getting this vote today. What is this vote about, or why is everybody scared of this vote? Well, there's a whole bill about how Europe is going to regulate crypto. That's the bill over there. It's a long, long, long bill, which no one should ever read, ever. Even the people voting it probably aren't going to read it, because they never do. They just vote. That's what politicians are based to do. But effectively, what they are regulating here, or what they're regulating every aspect of crypto. But the part that is worrying is around whether proof of work will be banned. Now, there was a version of this bill, and in the previous version of this bill, there was a proposal to ban proof of work mining, to scale away proof of work mining. Now, that was removed from the bill before the vote, but they did insert something else in the bill. What did they insert? They inserted this clause that says, crypto assets shall be subject to a minimum environmental sustainability standard with respect to their consensus mechanism used for validating transactions. That's the first part that's very scary. So that to the layman reads, well, crypto assets can't be mined in Europe. And that wouldn't be so bad because then people would just go mine them in other places, even though Europe does have the most nodes in the world. I didn't know that, but I'll show you some data that shows that Europe has the most mining nodes in the whole world. The part that's scary is where they say, before being issued, offered, or admitted to trading in the union, which would probably mean that if this bill was passed, any token mined in any consensus mechanism, because they don't say proof of work, they just say minimum environmental sustainability standards with regards to consensus mechanism. So they could set these minimum environmental standards to be whatever they want. And then they say, if the token that is being spoken about is issued, offered, or admitted into trading. So now all of a sudden you can't issue it, you can't trade it, you can't do anything with it. Crypto assets that are issued, offered, or admitted to trading in the union before this date, blah, 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 blah. So that is what they're talking about, and that's the FUD that's going on now. That vote happening right now.
It looks like they edited it recently.
They edited it.
They took out one of the clauses relating to, but I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, they took out the one relating to proof of work. So we know that. We know they took out the one that had proof of work. So the vote is ongoing right now. There was a circular that was published. There was a circular that was published that was wrong. We'll probably get the results of that vote later on today. If it's passed, let's just say hypothetically that it's passed. Is this the end of proof of work and the end of Bitcoin in the EU? Absolutely not. Because after it gets passed, it then goes through call it like a negotiation process that has to happen. Once that negotiation process has happened, then they have to draft the actual wording before they actually sign this. So this is not the end. This is just a vote which could mean another fight for Bitcoin. You know, just a vote which would mean another fight for Bitcoin. I don't think that the EU will pass this vote. When I say pass, maybe it'll pass this vote, but I don't think it's going to get legislated that all of a sudden proof of work is going to be gone. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that the EU knows how much they need crypto to survive. And the reason why the EU needs crypto or should be the best ground for crypto is because crypto does a whole lot of things that the EU is super concerned about. Like the first thing is the EU is very much against or part of this GDPR and digital sovereignty. And what crypto does is actually give people digital sovereignty. That's the first part of it. The second thing is Europe is now very much reliant on the United States and the United States dollar. And one of the ways that Europe can break away from the United States and the United States dollar is by using crypto. So that's the second part of it. And the third part of it is that not many big companies are coming out of Europe now. In fact, I saw something here around of the 20 largest tech giants in the world, not one is in Europe today. Europe accounted for 41 of the biggest 100 companies by market cap in 2000, down to 15 in 21. Europe's share in global equities market has also halved in the last 20 years. So Europe is very much on the decline. And the one thing that could save Europe is if Europe all of a sudden became a hub for crypto companies and crypto assets. And remember that Europe has a lot of the best developers in the world. It has a lot of the right mining infrastructure. In fact, I saw here somewhere that they were talking about mining nodes. Let me just find that for you. Here we go. So you've got Europe has, okay, so share of global cryptocurrency transactions. It talks about they talk about mining nodes. They also talk about regulation in the US. So it shows how complicated regulation is in the US. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this just shows that if you want to operate in the US, these are all the different departments that regulate. So if you want to be an exchange, for example, you have to go to FinCEN, to SEC, to CFTC, to IRS. So there's so much to do if you want to be in the US, but Europe doesn't have that. So to me, Europe should be using this opportunity to embrace crypto and not to block crypto. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen, because I think sanity will eventually prevail. I can't see them doing it. And especially now with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, Europe's getting weakened. Remember that Europe is very much reliant on Russian commodities and Russian oil, but the US isn't. The US isn't as reliant as they are. So I think the last thing they can afford to do is become weaker in this time. They can't afford to become weaker. All right, the next bit of news today is, or this week, which makes it a huge week, is inflation news and the Fed coming out. Remember on Wednesday, which is I think the 16th, you've got the FOMC meeting. That's where the Fed meet. Jerome Powell meets all his friends and they discuss what's going to happen with interest rates. And this comes on the back of the highest inflation numbers that we've seen in 40 years. I think the inflation numbers were, what are they, 7.9, 8%? What are the numbers? 7.9. So the inflation numbers were 7.9%, but we all know that those inflation numbers of 7.9% are absolute garbage, because if you take the inflation numbers and you say, okay, let's use the same methodologies to evaluate inflation using, the old way, the right way of doing it, then inflation is actually 16% year on year. So imagine that you've got inflation in the States now, 16% year on year. And against this environment, you've got the FOMC meeting, the Fed meeting. And they're really starting to panic about inflation in the States. Everybody's starting to panic about inflation in the States. And the reality is that even if the Fed go and increase interest rates by 0.5%, they ain't going to be able to stop the inflation because of what's going on around the world. And I'll show you that in a second. But they are starting to panic. You're getting Janet Yellen coming out and starting, when Yellen stands up, remember the narrative last year was that inflation is transitory. This year,
I don't want to make a prediction exactly as to what's going to happen in the second half of the year. We're likely to see another year in which 12-month inflation numbers remain very uncomfortably high. I don't want to make a...
So she says that they're expecting the numbers to be uncomfortably high. Biden is starting to blame Putin. He's now broken away from the fact that, inflation is a monetary policy thing. And he's saying, basically, inflation is largely the fault of Putin. This is the inflation numbers before the war. These are the inflation numbers before the war. You cannot tell me that inflation is because of Putin. But the thing with politicians is that if they drum the narrative for long enough, and that becomes a narrative, the reason why car prices are going up is because of chips. That wasn't the reason why car prices were going up. Car prices were going up because there was money in the economy, too much money in the economy, and people could not get cars. And everybody's starting to feel it. So you've got that. You have Elon Musk. He's starting to talk about inflation. He says, what are your thoughts about probable inflation rate over the next few years? He says Tesla and SpaceX are seeing significant recent inflation pressure now in raw material and logistics, and we are not alone. So now the richest man in the world is coming out, and he sounds really concerned. For the richest man in the world to come out and say, what are your thoughts about probable inflation over the next few years? And then to say, look, we're feeling it and we're not alone. Everybody's feeling it. Michael Saylor jumped in. Obviously, he went on this whole argument around how inflation is against the US dollar, but if you start using your base currency as Bitcoin, everything changes. So Elon Musk said to him, look, it's not entirely unpredictable that you would reach that conclusion. But what he is saying, and he did say at the end of his tweet, which was quite cool, he says, I still own and won't sell my Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Doge for what it's worth. He says, as a general principle, those looking for advice from this thread, it is generally better to own physical things, like a home or stocks in companies you think may make good products than dollars when inflation is high. So now the richest man in the world is also panicking about inflation. And I tweeted last night and I said, look, on the one hand, I really want to take profits because I've been trained that every now and then you should take profits. But on the other hand, if I take profits, where am I going to put the profits? If I'm going to take profits and I'm going to put my profits into USD, that thought absolutely scares me. So I'm not going to be taking profits and putting my profits into USD. The notion of that, the thought of that scares the living hell out of me. I may take profits and put profits into Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the other protocols, the top 5 protocols in my portfolio. But the only profits that I'm going to take is the only US dollar profits that I'm going to take is the amount that I need to live for, say, the next 12 to 24 months, because that's the longest that I think that any of this carnage can last. Let's go back to it. So we're talking about the Fed this week. There is now a 100% chance, according to the stats, no, not 100% chance, but the expectation is 100% that Jerome Powell is going to increase interest rates by 25 basis points. And I think that that's been factored in. What's more important is not what he's going to do, because we know what he's going to do. What's more important is what they call, I think they call it the guidance, not the outlook. They call it the guidance. What is the guidance? The guidance is when they tell you what they think is going to happen for the rest of the year. That is what everybody's watching now. Now remember that initially people were talking about 7 or 8 interest rate hikes this year. I think everybody's dreaming because we're on the background of a war at the moment. And that war is going to send is sending commodity prices through the roof. And when commodity prices go through the roof, the last thing the Fed can do is increase interest rates and increase people's mortgage and house payments and slow down the economy even further when people are going to start getting sacked. So right now, we are looking at 100% probability or 97.8% probability that the Fed will increase by 25 basis points. And the rest of the year looks something like that. So the highest probability right now is that we're only going to get 3 interest rate hikes over the entire year. And the second highest probability is that we're going to get 4 interest rate hikes over the entire year if they increase by 25 basis points. If they increase by 50 basis points, we make it lower. So that's what the markets are telling you. And that's really the only thing that's important right now. We don't really care. We don't really care what's happening in this meeting, because we know what's happening in this meeting. It's all about the outlook or the guidance, as they call it. At the same time, you've got something else to worry about now, and that is the fact that prices might go up even further. So not only are we facing a war and the commodity prices increasing, but there's another crisis that's going on that not many people are talking about, and that is COVID in China. So China's COVID numbers have started to explode. So this is Asia's COVID numbers, but the numbers have started to explode. So China, what does China do? China started to lock down provinces again. And if China locks down provinces again, 2 things happen. So the one thing that happens is goods from China become slower to come out. Ports get blocked, and we get a backlog of goods in China. That's the one part of things that happens from China. On the other side of things is what Garath Soloway says. And he says that the lockdowns from massive COVID cases in China will alone make up for the Russian oil not bought up, even if it will be sold anyway. Add in demand drop from the rest of the world, and oil is going to drop to $80 by the summer. Now, I agree with him that oil is going to drop to $80 by the summer. I'm just not sure that for the same reasons that he says. I'm just not sure that it's about the rest of the world and China's demand dropping. So I do think that oil is going to go down, and this is happening. This is happening right now. So long story short, everybody's talking about recession. Recession is the new key word, and now the markets are kind of bracing themselves for recession, or they're pricing in this thing called a recession, which effectively means that for a couple of months or for a short period of time, we're going to get some negative growth, or we're going to get some slow growth. That is effectively what the recession is. So interest rates go up on Wednesday, 25 basis points. What does that do to the market? What does that do to the market? So what happens to the market? So let's say the market actually gets what it deserves or what it's expecting. What happens to the market? So the market's going to go up, down? Are they going to stay where they are? Well, one theory says the markets are going to go up by 1.49%. Okay, so markets are going to go up by 1.49% on Wednesday when the interest rate announcement is going to be made. 1.49%. Why 1.49? Why am I so accurate about the number? Well, it's the most complicated mathematics that I've ever seen, but it's actually very smart. So there's a tweet thread. It's an 18-part tweet thread. And it starts off by saying this Wednesday, the Fed is expected to announce rate hikes. And he says, well, how do we price these rate hikes? And the way to price them is by pricing options before and after. So if you can find options that expire before the rate hike and options that expire after the rate hike, if you combine the two, and you follow this formula, you take SPX index options that would be on the 14th and the 16th. So you take those options and you start plotting all of these, and you go through these very, very, very complicated formulas, and you actually work backwards. You work out what the implied volatility is, and the implied volatility is how they price options. Options are priced based on volatility, and you follow the most complicated formula that I've ever seen in my entire life. And after 8 tweet threads, it says, hence the SPX return is equal to 1.87% times the square root of 2 divided by pi, and that's equal to 1.49%. Some guy actually did this. Some guy
would have told you.
Some guy actually did this. He went and worked back. Some guy spent his whole day doing this. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Anyway, let's see what happens on Wednesday. And if the market goes up 1.49%, then we're going to all start working out what 1.49 divided by 2 pi. I don't know. I mean, this war is causing havoc. It's causing havoc. It's causing havoc. You're getting equities in Europe right now. If you look at equities in Europe, March was the worst month for equities in Europe ever. That's the outflow of equities in Europe. That's the first one. You're getting the Nasdaq. This is actually quite interesting. If you look at this year, the Nasdaq in the first 48 trading days is down 11.8%, which means that the only other times that it's been this bad are in 1935, okay, when we weren't around, 2020 when we were around, and then 2009. This is the 4th worst opening. But look what's happened after. So if you take day 49 to year end, look what happened after. First, so any year where the S&P has opened, and you can even go down to like all the other years, but any year where the S&P has opened down 11.8% in the first 49 days, the market's actually gone quite high. Idan, I'm giving you some homework. Idan's one of our producers. He's an engineer producer. Giving you some homework. I want you to do the same exercise, but on times where the market's gone up. And let's see if the rest of the year the market's gone up. We've got to try that. You're also getting Russian oligarchs losing a lot of their money, a lot of their value. So this is the wealth of Russian oligarchs listed in the Fortune 500. Now, I know this chart looks absolutely scary, this red candle, but their wealth has gone from 360 billion to 250 billion. They still have $250 billion worth of wealth. And right now, there are a couple of interesting things that are happening in this war. The first thing that's happening is Russia is asking China for military assistance. Now, I don't know if this is all part of the negotiation tactics to try and rope China in, to show the world that Russia and China are friends, but Russia is asking China for military assistance, which sounds scary. Then what you're also getting is Russia offering India the chance to buy oil and other commodities at a discounted price. Okay. Again, I think this might all be posturing to say, look, we're going to get China on our side and we're going to get India on our side, because India is kind of on the fence. So you're going to get Russia and you're going to get India on our side. And if you look at the commodities index, I think that this chart, this chart over here, is the chart that's going to tell us what's going to happen in the war and when the war is going to end. And the reason why I think that's going to happen is because I think there's so much inside information. I think there's so much inside information going on in the Russians and between the Russian oligarchs and people front-running this, that commodities will tell us when we're going to get peace. So what you've got here is we're looking for the commodities index to go down to where it was in, say, December, before these escalations. Let's say it was at 519 in December. It's at 708 now, and it was at 860 at the top. So it's not at the high, and we should look to this because this will tell us when the war is coming to, or may be coming to an end, and when we could see some kind of progress. So let's keep watching this, because I think that this is where we're going to get our signs. And regardless of the prices and the commodities, what I thought we should do is we should find out how people in Ukraine are coping. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but in the beginning, people in Ukraine really suffered. We tried to get community members on, but that was a day that Kiev was being bombed and they were looking for a place to go. What is it like in Ukraine right now? How are people like us, crypto people in Ukraine, coping right now? What are they seeing on the ground right now? And I thought the best way to do that was to actually bring in Irina, because Irina is a community member, just like everyone else here. She's one of our best community members. She's lovely. Irina, how are you?
Hey, so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm okay, just a bit tired, spent 4 hours in the shelter tonight, but I'm okay now.
Okay, so you were in Kiev when the attack started, and if I remember correctly, you left Kiev, right? So you went somewhere else, right?
Not exactly. I was in Kharkiv. Kharkiv is under massive attacks right now, and it's really scary there, but I was able to escape at the first time. So I heard at the first explosion, I was in Kharkiv working late, and I didn't realize what was that. Probably some firework or something. But after the second explosion, my windows started to shake. I typed Kharkiv hashtag on Twitter and realized that the war is starting and we are under attack. And we packed some things in a hurry, just documents, money, some clothing, and just ride somewhere else safe. So we stayed for one night in Dnipro region. It's a bit souther from Kharkiv. And now we are staying in the western part of Ukraine. We are renting an apartment here. It's calm, but air raid sirens a few times a day, and curfew and queues in the supermarkets, but nothing compared to Kyiv or Kharkiv, of course.
Irina, what did you take with you when you fled your house and you went to this new place? What did you take with you? What have you got with you? What belongings have you got?
Money, of course, cards, documents, clothes, but not so much, just some clothes, and a laptop, tablet, some tech stuff. That's it, actually. I forgot a lot of things there, and I don't even know if I still have my apartment. I have no idea. I just left, and I don't know.
What about your crypto wallet? I mean, do you carry a ledger or a Trezor? Where do you keep your crypto?
Yeah, of course. Trezor, the first thing I grabbed, actually, yeah.
You're such a degen.
Yes, I was worried about forgetting this stuff, actually, because, clothes and some other things I can buy, but I need my crypto with me, of course.
Let's talk about money. So do you have access to money? If you go to the bank, can you draw as much money as you've got in the account? Can you get access to your money? Can you still do credit card transactions? Can you pay supermarkets and merchants with credit card, or is that whole thing shut down?
It's a bit tricky to get money out from the bank because a lot of queues, and I think there is some limit, but I actually didn't even try. I have some cash, and credit cards are still working. So I can pay in supermarkets and in coffee stores, and what else is open here, we can buy with credit card.
And how's the spirit in Ukraine? How are the people feeling? Are they feeling defeated? Are they feeling like they may have a big chance to win the war? What's the spirit like? What's the I don't want to use the word vibe, but what's the people's spirit like?
Well, obviously it's scary here, and it's tough, and my parents and my brother are still in Kharkiv, and 30 minutes before the show, my mom texted me that her friend's house was bombed today, and wow. It's extremely tough. The city is destroyed, and massive attacks from the sky all the time, and it's really scary. But I think we are united as never before. I think we believe in our country, and the spirit it's like I said, yeah, it's scary and tough, but spirits are high, and we believe in Ukraine. These people, actually, our people are amazing. And here in the western part of Ukraine, I received so much help and support and food, and it's amazing. So I think we are united. Yeah. Yes, we're strong. Slava Ukraini.
And is the feeling that this is going to last for a long time? Is the feeling there that this is going to end soon? Is there any feeling about it?
sometimes it feels like everything will be okay really soon, sometimes. But the other days when it's sirens all around the town, and when my mom is texting me and I see pictures from my neighborhood when it's destroyed, and it's tough for me to talk about it, actually. Yeah, and I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how long it will go, and just hoping for the best, trying to stay calm.
Are you working?
Yeah.
I mean, what's generating? Are you even thinking about generating an income now? Are you working? I mean, you used to do a lot of design work and art direction work. Are you actually able to work day to day? Do you still have customers?
Yes, I'm trying to work a few hours a day. I'm still trying to work, but it's not easy, because sometimes I try to pack some things and go to the shelter, or I have to spend all day to buy food in different stores, because we can't buy everything in one place right now, and long queues, so we have to spend a lot of time to just buy some stuff. But yes, luckily I am able to work. I have my laptop, so if I have my laptop and internet, I can
work anywhere.
I can work.
Irina,
Yeah,
do you
so
need
I'm,
anything?
I'm trying.
Do you need anything? Do you need anything? Can we, as the community, help you? I mean, does Irina need anything?
Oh, actually, I wanted to thank Banter community, a big, huge shout out. Thank you so much. I received such just tons of messages from Crypto Banter community, and a lot of support. It means it means a lot to me, and thank you for your support. I think right now it's very important to share information about the situation here, because even my relatives from Russia are not they don't understand what we are going through. They don't believe us, and when everything just started, I don't even know, should I laugh or cry about it. My relatives invited me to Russia to save me, and the amount of propaganda is massive. So people are brainwashed, and when we are showing them videos from our homes, from our districts, they don't believe us. It's all fake. And so I think it's really important to share information, to spread the word, and this amount of support for Ukrainian people right now, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, listen, Irina, if you need anything whatsoever, if you get stuck again, whatever you need, please reach out to me. I'll make sure that we get whatever you need from the Banter community.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. And listen, much love and much strength from all of us, really, from everybody here. I can see everybody here looking, and I can see the comments. So much love and much strength. You're a great community member, and it's so nice to be able to talk to you and to hear it from someone who's just one of us. You're one of us, and it's so good to hear it from you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Irina. Wow. So that's Irina. She's a member of the community. Wow. I mean, sure. Amazing. We will help her as much as we can. We'll help all our community in Ukraine. If everybody helps their communities, then the communities will be good. So that's what we're going to do. Speaking of communities, don't know if you guys have been watching this bet, the KUCOIN $1 million bet. Well, it's actually much bigger than a $1 million bet now. So it started off like this. There's a guy called Sensei Algod at Algod Trading, and he says, hey, stablecoin, I sent you a DM yesterday. Let's get this locked in. What are they talking about getting locked in? Well, they're talking about a bet where effectively Sensei Algod says that Luna will be under $88 next year this time, and KUCOIN obviously says that it will be higher next year this time. And so they took a bet. They sent the money to Kobe. So Crypto Cobain has the money. You can see it here in the wallet. They both sent $1 million. So it now became a real bet. This guy really believes so much that UST is going to go down, that UST is going to go down, and that Luna is going to go down, that he's willing to put $1 million on it. Imagine believing so much that you're willing to put $1 million on it. So you put $1 million on it. The money's now with Kobe, and right now we have basically 3 outcomes. The first outcome is that the price of Luna goes above $88 in a year, in which case Do Kwon gets the $1 million. Do said publicly that he'll take the $1 million and he will donate it to Angel Protocol, regardless of the outcome of the bet. He will donate $1 million to Angel Protocol charity and spend $1 million buying Terra altcoins. The other option is that Luna goes below $88, in which case Kobe will have to send the $2 million to Sensei Algo. And the last one is that Kobe disappears with the cash. And then, or the fourth one is that USDT depegs, and then the money is gone. So now this has sparked a whole lot of banter on Twitter. And now he accepted a $10 million additional bet. So he said, this is from GCR, a Gigantic Rebirth. And he says, interested in the same bet for $10 million, considering offering $50 million, but escrow becomes tricky. Would donate half to charity. So now you're seeing all the negatives, the people that are against all of this, against Luna. And Do Kwon's basically saying, look, just send it to Kobe's wallet. I'll match. Good luck. So these are high stakes. People, you're getting the Luna community on the one side, and I guess AJ says it right. I mean, these are fucking degens. These are people that the market's not going up fast enough, so they're now starting to take bets with one another. They're starting to take bets with one another about the price of Luna in a year. To me, more interesting is we're big Luna fans. We're massive Luna fans. We've watched Luna go from $0 to $14 billion in market cap. We've watched the UST go from $0 to $14 billion in market cap. We are big supporters of the Luna ecosystem. We've been calling Luna. We called it to $100 in March. We said Astroport was going to go to $3. But I want to know why these guys are so confident. So I did a little bit of digging, and I try to look at the other side of it, because one of the criticisms that you guys give us is that we're too bullish and that we should look at the other side. I try to get Sensei Algod onto the show so that he could tell us himself why he's so against Luna. He says multiple people, this is from Feb, he says multiple people have been calling me a UST Luna Ponzi. I'm going to briefly explain why it's a Ponzi. UST maintains stability, so it's a simple mechanism. One UST can be exchanged for $1 worth of Luna at any time. If UST becomes less valuable, buyers can scoop it up and use it as a swap mechanism and sell it for $1, enabling them to make a profit. As buyers do, demand for UST causes the price to go up until it reaches $1. So basically, $11.7 billion is backed by Luna order books. In the best case, it can sustain a $1 to $2 billion sale right now. For now, they have driven up demand with a 20% fixed APY printed out of thin air, which is unsustainable. So he says, because the returns on Luna are actually on Anchor Protocol are actually unsustainable, this whole thing is a Ponzi around Luna. So lunatics are expecting that demand will indefinitely keep exceeding supply. The moment supply exceeds demand, people will start to panic and start redeeming UST for Luna or for USDT. What does this remind you of? Cough, cough, a Ponzi. This is not the same. This is not the same case as May. UST supply increased by 5x. It's easy to soak up a few $100 million in selling pressure, but Luna is not liquid enough to soak up a few $1 billion. UST is basically a glorified Titan Ponzi. At least iron was 80% collateralized. And he carries on talking about how this thing is basically a giant Ponzi. Now, since this tweet, a couple of things have happened. The first thing is that Anchor Protocol has been recapitalized. The second thing that's happened here is that Do Kwon has come out and said that the Terra Foundation has now donated an additional 12 million Luna, and they now have about $1.2 billion to buy Bitcoin. And they're going to buy Bitcoin, and they're going to use this Bitcoin to protect the reserves or to protect the peg of Terra at all costs. And he says, if there is any confusion left at this point, we will keep growing reserves until it becomes mathematically impossible for idiots to claim depeg risk for Terra. So it's like they've got this war fund, and for as long as this continues, they are going to keep fighting the peg. And they're very confident of it. I mean, they're very confident of it. And trading of Luna has increased. In fact, trading now is bigger than the volume of Bitcoin and ETH combined. So that's how big this Luna community has become. Anchor Protocol, people are talking about how sustainable it is going forward. Remy Teto, he's the head of research for Real Vision TV. He says 20% on Anchor Protocol will last for the next 2 years before needing to adjust. And even then, the APR will remain the highest in crypto. Now, we've spoken about how it keeps its peg and how they can keep paying this 20%. So there's this big war going on. On the one hand, you've got a couple of vocal rich people, it looks like.
The 10 million just got dropped. It's in.
Oh, so 10 million is now in the address.
Yeah, it's in. You can check.
Can you send me the Ether scan? So, wow, the 10 million is now in the account. Carl's going to send me the Ether scan. Holy shit, this is
check
getting...
your DMs, because there's a second message for you.
Okay, Kyle. Okay.
The one from Patrick and the third
one. Okay, has voted against. Hold on a second. Hold on. There is stuff happening here. Usually we want to end the shows quite quickly, but there's stuff that's happening here that we got to cover. Let's quickly have a look at it. Breaking. The Econ Committee of the EU Parliament just voted against the de facto proof of work ban. Amazing. Bitcoin. So how has Bitcoin responded to this? How has Bitcoin responded to this? Let's have a look. So this is the tweet that I'm looking at. The Econ Committee of the EU just voted against this de facto ban, which is what I thought would happen. Bitcoin responds like a stablecoin.
Smash the 39,000.
I mean, no, look, it smashed 39,038. It went to 39,038.46. But I think it might find support at 39,038.42. You know what? I'm actually going to go into the 3-minute chart because that just might be a little bit more exciting. It's so boring. The vote, Bitcoin, the vote just went in your favor. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Anyway, I don't know, maybe Hustle can tell us. Hustle, when is Bitcoin going to move, bro?
Oh, man. When is water not going to be wet? I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer, right?
Crazy stuff.
We're all just waiting. We're all just waiting. Thank God for play to earn, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know where my money would be coming from right now.
Okay, what is happening on play to earn, in the play to earn game, in the play to earn world?
There was actually a really good conversation yesterday. Bryson, another crypto gaming, I would say, influencer in the space, he put out a video yesterday talking about how play to earn gaming is dead. And we talked about it last week a little bit, how the model right now is 100% dying. Like the 2 token economics, what people kind of call Ponzi-nomics. It's funny, you were just talking about what lines up to kind of look like Ponzi-nomics, for example. A lot of these economies right now are just Ponzi-nomics in a way. And, you know, only people are making the most people are making money are the ones who get in early. And then the people who get in late are just exit liquidity type of thing. And right, it's just a big pyramid. And there's a big problem with the economy. So today we're going to dissect his opinion and go over some people's sentiment in the community, because it definitely rattled the cages of a lot of asset owners who might not see the bigger picture or who are there to extract profits strictly from the economy. So we'll talk about the long-term sustainability of play to earn today.
All righty, amazing. Thank you, Hustle. See you a bit later.
Appreciate it, Rand.
And now look at this. You got the $10 million is now in Kobe's account. That's the Etherscan address, the transaction. You can see that from this address over here, $10 million was sent to Kobe's address. Let's just see how big is this address? Oh, that's the USDT address. Let's see if we can. Okay, it came from this address. Okay, this address has $20 million worth of tokens. It has USDC coins. Who is this guy? Guy's got $20 million in his account. He just sent $10 million to Kobe. Okay, it's getting interesting. If anybody else wants to take DoQuan a bet, DoQuan is crazy. DoQuan's gone mad. Alrighty, guys. Listen, love you madly. Sorry the show was a bit longer today, but there was a lot going on. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Another big day, another big show. Remember, if you were here today and you watched until the end, you're a fucking legend. See you tomorrow.